there's a brand new Ultimate Spider-Man, but it's a Parker, just not Peter. VeeFriends? Yeah, that surprise comic pack is turning heads. But what is it? And is Daniel Warren Johnson's Wolverine still holding strong at the top? We'll find out. We got all that and more as we count down the hottest trending comics right now. This week, the first week of May 2025, we have some really cool books on the trendy list. Some expected, some not expected. We got 4 books that made the list here. We got one that's a repeat from last week, but we got 3 new books on this list. Stillwater, Incredible Hulk, Captain Planet, and Wolverine. Immediate thoughts when you see this?
Well, my first thought is someone needs to go. Someone, I'm assuming Sebastian Stan, needs to go into every single comic shop and paste the word "New Avengers" over Thunderbolts.
Well,
On the
they
counter.
really gave that up quick, didn't they?
Yeah, they really did.
Like,
Um,
did you see the posters? What they're doing to the posters now?
yeah,
They're
exactly.
they're ripping them up and then saying
They're
New
ripping up, and
Avengers.
Sebastian Stan was filmed in L.A. putting
Mhm.
up new posters over the Thunderbolts one that now says "New Avengers."
Really?
Yeah, so Marvel is going all out. Captain
Oh man.
Planet, not surprised, not sure how much this is a Mark Spears buy as opposed to people really want Captain Planet, but you know what? Everyone loves the 80s stuff. They love
Mhm.
Thundercats, they love Space Ghost, they love, all those things.
Yeah.
Stillwater, Chip Zdarsky, can't go wrong with Chip Zdarsky,
Mhm.
right? And Wolverine, that's a Darren Warren Johnson
Mhm.
cover. It was actually an open to buy cover, so but it's
Yeah.
also, I believe, the second printing. They're doing a version of that as part of the second printing as well. So
Mhm. Yeah. So we'll talk a little bit about all of these books here.
mhm.
Let's first go with an honorable mention. So our honorable mentions are books that didn't quite crack the top 10, but they deserve to be mentioned. Starting with Inhumans number 5. This is the first cameo appearance of Yelena,
Mhm.
the Black Widow, who is part of the Thunderbolts team, now the New Avengers. Then you have The Last of Us, American Dreams. This is the first issue of the Last of Us comic book. Obviously, Last of Us is pretty popular right now. I think
Mhm.
we're on the 4th episode right now of
Yes,
it,
last night was the fourth episode. Yep.
right? And then lastly,
No,
you got another.
last night was the third episode. No, I'm right.
Was it the
Last
third?
last episode was the fourth because I
Fourth,
haven't watched it
third.
yet. I've seen
Yeah.
3, but last night was the
I
fourth, and I
haven't
haven't
even
watched it
seen
yet.
any of them. I gotta watch it. It's like we're
Yeah,
too busy trying to watch all these episodes of Andor. They keep dropping 3 at a time, so
right,
it's
3 at a
killing me.
time. Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, I can't do that, man. I can't watch a show like that anymore, right? So, The Last of Us, and then finally a new one to it, Miami Vice remix. Obviously, it has to do with Miami Vice, and there's now word that they're planning to do a new Miami Vice movie. This is
Oh,
the Comic Books Associate. It's the first Miami Vice comic book, but
okay.
it's really cool, done by Joe Casey with Jim Mafu, whose artwork is always cool to look at,
Mhm.
very distinct, very catchy, and stuff like that. Your immediate thoughts on these 3 books?
Not surprised by The Last of Us. I think you could slap that title on almost anything, and it would probably be pretty popular.
Mhm.
In Humans, I did not know that was the first appearance of Yelena,
Mhm.
but that kind of explains that. So that's kind of fair. Miami Vice, I'm surprised because it wasn't. I mean, I'm bad with time, but we just
Mhm.
had the Colin Farrell, and who was the other person that was in it with Colin Farrell?
Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
Wasn't that all that long ago? And I mean,
Uh,
it was probably a good
it's
10. It was
actually
probably a good
longer than
10 years,
you think.
maybe. But um,
Mhm.
it's, I guess, like I mean, everything old is new again. So I'm not surprised that they're going back to the well. And
So, you're ready for this one.
yeah.
You think it's not that old.
Hmm.
It came out in 2006.
Oh wow. Okay, so
It is it is
that's
pretty old
19
now.
years. Yeah, almost 20 years. So
Yeah, it's amazing how time flies in this way because it does feel like a movie that we just saw, but I guess they're trying to remake it. They got some good people attached to it. Um, who's to say it's not going to do well? But
mm,
the last movie was fine. It wasn't like a smash hit or anything
right.
like that.
It didn't light the
But
world on fire.
yeah, it didn't continue and stuff like that. And I think at the time you had like Bad Boys and stuff like that,
Right.
which is kind of like took most of the thunder of Miami Vice. And let's be honest, Miami Vice is really about it was all about the 80s.
Oh yeah, it was groundbreaking for its time as a television show,
Hmm.
combining the music and everything. But
Yeah.
as a movie, nah, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, and it was set in modern time when they did it. So
Right.
it's like I don't care about that. I want to see an 80s version of Miami Vice. Like, go there. We'll see what happens. But here are your honorable mentions. Let's go ahead and start the list off with number 10. And number 10 is Predator, number one. This book came out in 1989 for Dark Horse Comics. The last recorded sale of this book is $25 at a very fine. Fair market value of this book is $77 near mint and $178 9.8. This came in at number 3 for CBSI. And now I'm putting in the 30-day sales. It's always been the 30-day sales, but now you actually can see it. There's been 40 sales within the last 30 days of this comic book as per cover price. And the hype level is at a medium. All right, Predator. Have you gotten to see the new Predator
I was gonna
Badland?
say, I'm sure that that's probably why that's here because the Badland trailer dropped in this past week. So it looks good. It looks by the guy, and it's done by the same guy who did Predator Prey, the Hulu
Hmm.
movie when we were all in COVID. Um,
Yeah.
that was a great movie. So I'm expecting big things out of Predator Badlands.
Yeah, same here. So when I was when I went to the theaters to see Thunderbolts, asterisk, um, or should we call it New Avengers now?
I thought it's
Minus
gonna be Thunderbolts for me. So
All right. So when we went to see it, that they did have the Predator trailer, and I was like,
mhm.
"This got to be the Predator trailer," because I didn't see it prior to that. And people have been talking about it's a younger Predator.
Right.
He's kind of the protagonist of the
Mhm.
story, which is a different dynamic to it. But there's also like almost rumors that they're working on getting a crossover again for Alien Predators to do it the
Mhm.
right way. However, this book is one of those books that keeps coming back and forth, because Predator is one of those IP that you could just keep coming back to it. You could just keep coming back to it. A Predator movie, all you have to do is you just have some Predator hunting something, and you got yourself a Predator movie.
Yeah. And if there's any company that knows how to totally milk their IPs, it's Disney because they own
Isn't it
Predator now.
crazy that Disney's a Predator?
Yeah,
He's a Disney
under
prince.
under 20th Century Studios, but
All right, so there you have that's number 10. Number 9, Ultimate Spider-Man number 16 is the Michael Walsh variant. This book came out this week for Marvel Comics. The last recorded sale of this book is $25 raw. Fair market value of this book is already at $27, and it's number 2 in cover price. As far as the 30-day sales, there's 52 recorded sales. Hype level of this book is at a medium. I knew last week this book was going to be hot. I
mm,
didn't know it was going to make a top 10 list. Even though I had some kind of prediction, I would have told Shane, I'm predicting this book will be on this list. Do you know why it's on the list?
I do not. I only when the Ultimate Universe came back, I got the first 6 issues of Ultimate Spider-Man, the first story arc, and then I kind of dropped it. And then I picked up Ultimates when it first came out, and Ultimate Black Panther. But those are really kind of only the three that I followed at all. Although I am kind of interested in Ultimate Incursion,
Yes.
which is coming up. So,
Mhm.
and I don't
Well,
know if
this
this is because Jonathan Hickman is writing both. So I don't know if this has something to do with that or.
there could be relationship correlation to it. The real reason why this one's in the list, and it's specifically this variant, is because this is the first cover appearance of this version of Spider-Man, which is not Peter Parker.
Mhm.
This is Richard Parker,
Yeah,
his
it's the son.
son,
Yep.
who's wearing the costume that he has. And a lot of people say, "Oh, well, yeah, but in issue 1 they did the black costume." It's not the same costume. This
Mhm.
costume is more in tune with the Spider-Man 3 movie costume, where it's the black costume but with the webbing attached to it. That's why this book is on this list, because it's a first cover appearance
Okay.
of a new version of a Spider-Man. So what does that mean for the future? Are we saying that Richard Parker could eventually become the new Ultimate Spider-Man and Peter Parker goes bye-bye in the Incursion
Mhm.
story? I don't know. I'm just saying there's a possibility. Um, but that's why it's here. I immediately knew it. It was an open order book too.
Mhm.
So kind of like the book that we're going to talk about later with Wolverine, this was also open order. And I think some people didn't realize that this book should have been picked up,
Mhm.
and they didn't pick it up. So now people want to pick it up because $25 is telling me you didn't pick it up when it came out.
Right.
Mhm. All right, let's take a look at number 8, and that's Star Wars Legacy #2. This came out for Dark Horse Comics in 2006. The last recorded sale of this book was $145 at a 9.8. Fair market value of this book is $33 near mint and $137 at a 9.8. This is number 2 in Key Collector, and the sales volume, well, the 30-day sales for this one is at 59 sales. Hype level is medium. This is a holdover from last week. Last week, this book was hot because we had word that Talon,
Mhm.
Darth Talon, is going to be appearing in the next Darth Maul series that are going to be made for Disney Plus. Do you know anything else about Star Wars
Well,
in
that
general and all that?
that's her on the left, right, on the cover, right?
No, actually, that's not her on the
So
left.
that
So she's on the cover Star Wars Legacy issue 0.
okay.
So she's like, what if the way I envision it, what if Ahsoka and Darth Maul had a daughter?
Okay.
She's from the same um again, I'm a casual Star Wars guy,
Mhm.
but she looks like Ahsoka, but with the colors of Darth Maul.
Right.
That's how I envision her.
Okay.
Um, so the announcement was made last week. This is pretty much a holdover from last week that's still gaining traction and people are still buying because 59 sales. That's the monthly numbers.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you, with Star Wars stuff, I would wait to buy any of these things until cameras start rolling because they announce so many things that never happen.
I agree to it. I'm also, when it comes to Star Wars first appearances,
Mhm.
they're such a roller coaster, man.
Right.
They're up and down, up and down, up and down. Like whenever there's an announcement of a TV show of a character or anything like that, you're gonna immediately be like, "Oh, gotta pick it up," and that the price goes up, but then it drops back down.
Mhm.
So this book at $33, even I think it's a little high,
Mhm.
for a raw copy. $20, maybe, but
Mhm.
that's me. But
Right.
I'm not a Star Wars guy, so it's all dependent on the Star Wars people and what they think. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Right. Let's take a look at number 7, and that is Avengers
Mm.
43. This book came out in 1967 for Marvel Comics. The last recorded sale of this book was $125 at a 6.0. Fair market value is $62 at a very good, and $545 for 9.0. And those are the average sales, by the way. The trendy list, it's number 7 in Key Collector, number 7 in CBSI. It's not on cover price, and the 30-day sales for a book that's from 1967 is 36 sales, which is actually really good for a book that's old. Hype level is a medium. First appearance of Red Guardian. I know you know this one.
I think I'm pretty sure I saw him on my cereal box this morning.
Talk to me. Did you get a chance to see the Thunderbolts?
I did.
And what is your thoughts on the movie?
I I've told everybody that I gave it a 7 out of 10,
Oh, okay.
um, which I think was pretty good. I
Hmm.
also think that in some ways, people's maybe too excited about it because you're comparing it to the last year and a half that Marvel has put out.
Hmm.
Um, but I really liked it. It kept to its story. It didn't try to go lots of places, and it it was true to the characters,
Hmm.
um, meaning, you know what, you didn't if another writer may have used Taskmaster at the in some way to save the rest of the team at the very
Yeah.
end, and that's how she dies. She basically dies, saying, I don't need any of
Spoiler.
you people, exactly, yeah, and it's real quick and it's at the beginning and it's like, that's exactly the way she in a movie like this where there really is no connection between everybody as much as Red Guardian wants to convince everybody that there is a
Yeah.
connection with everybody. It stayed really true to the characters for the entire movie. So
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
It was a really good movie. I was really impressed of how they did the Sentry.
Hmm.
Especially that when he turns into the Void, because everybody knows about the Void and Sentry.
Right.
That's not really as much of a spoiler, but the third act of the movie was not your traditional third act,
Hmm.
and I will say it's an unexpected third act
Hmm.
approach to it. With that said, I think the characters, like you said, the characters were great. I personally think David Harbour was awesome as the Red
Mhm.
Guardian. Like he was the comedic character, the whole
Okay.
thing, and it was just so funny seeing him, as he said, the Wheaties,
Yeah,
and all
yeah.
that fun stuff. And but his when he needed to be a dad to Yelena,
Mhm.
he was a dad, and
Mhm.
that's the part that really was that was the heart of the movie. Their dynamic together. I really impressed with the movie. It is. I will say it's one of the best movies after Endgame.
Mhm.
So it is one of the best movie after Endgame. But what it's not an Endgame level movie.
Right.
That's left for Avengers,
Mhm. Yeah.
which technically this is the new Avengers.
Yeah.
So you know, so there you have it. That's number 7, Avengers 43. Let's take a look at number 6. This is the one that just came out of nowhere for me. And it's called VeeFriends number 2. It is a sealed collector's comic pack that was limited to 3,000 copies. This came out this week for VeeFriends LLC. The last recorded sale of this was $58 near mint. Fair market value $61. It was number 1 on
Wow.
cover price. And the 30-day sales is 61. I have to put a hype level of a medium because it's number 1.
Mhm.
um, I don't expect you to know anything about this because I know nothing about this.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it. I mean, I wonder why it's in a pack. Is it you know is it just trying to be like kind of like your opening cards for kids or whatever? Or
Well, yeah, and that's the thing that really I did a quick search on what VeeFriends is,
Mhm.
and this is coming from Topps,
Mhm.
the trading cards,
Okay.
and it's just a series of digital collectibles with multiple characters. I mean, there's a lot of V characters. So VeeFriends, and again, this is from someone that knows nothing.
Mhm.
I guess you could say it's kind of Pokemonish
Okay.
in that way, but it's mostly animal characters.
Mhm.
There's a dog, there's a purple elephant, there's a bear with sunglasses, there's a dinosaur, and they're all VeeFriends. So this is a popular kids item.
Okay.
Now, where this originates from, it's gonna take some time for me to even know it. I don't expect this to be on the list next week, and if it is, I'm be shocked. But it made the list. It's a pack with comic books in it, just
Are
like
there
the
eh,
Whatnot comics.
and are there different covers in each pack or something? Is that, I mean, because if they're trying to make it be like Pokemon, then you got to collect them all.
Well,
So
yeah,
that's
and
probably what
that
they
could be
want.
part of it. That could be part of the sales. That like those 61 sales could be like 10 people.
Yeah, exactly.
I just don't know. I don't have enough information to know more about it. I don't even know where these things sold, to be honest
Yeah,
with you.
I'd never
It,
heard of
it
them
is
before.
complete anomaly. Nothing. I know nothing of VeeFriends, but I guess I'm not the audience for VeeFriends.
Mm.
But there you have it. At number 6, VeeFriends. Let's go to our next one here, and that is, let's see here. My clicker is not clicking. Captain Planet number 1. This is the Mark Spears Earth Day Gold Virgin Foil cover. This was limited to only, ready for this,
Mm.
422 copies.
Yep.
Therefore, Earth Day, that's when it came out. 2025 for Dynamite Entertainment. The last recorded sale was $57. Fair market value was $35 near mint. It only came in number 6 for cover price. 30-day sales. Would you believe 113 comics already sold
Mhm.
within this time period? And the hype level is a medium. This sold for 2 factors. One, you said it best, nostalgic, Captain
Mhm.
Planet, and Mark Spears.
Right.
That's it
Yeah. Yep. And I think the actual first issue comes out
this week.
this week, right?
Yeah, this week. So this came out prior to this week, but
Right.
they did an
Mhm.
eBay live,
Yep.
and that's where this popped out of nowhere.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't feel it. That's my personal period. I've never been a Captain Planet guy.
I
So
pre-ordered it because I absolutely love Mark Spears.
mm,
Um, so I ordered just one copy of the main cover. Um, and I love foil, so I may at some point try to go back and get this to see if the prices come down or whatever. But
yeah.
um, yeah, and you know what? I didn't really watch Captain Planet when it was on.
Hmm.
Um, but I was watching like Battle of the Planets and things like that as opposed to Captain Planet.
Yeah. Yeah, you were a little too old when
Mhm.
Captain Planet came out because it
Right,
came out in the 90s.
right.
It came out like early 90s and things
Mhm,
like that. So it's past the He-Mans, the Thundercats, it's all that. And it was about it was about environmentally. That's
mhm.
all it was,
Yep,
really.
yep.
So Captain Planet #1, the Mark Spears Earth Day Gold Virgin variant at number 5. At number 4, the Century #1. This book came out in 2000 from Marvel Comics. $84 is the near mint value last recorded sale. Fair market value of this book is $99 near mint, $287 at a 9.4. This is number 3 in Key Collector, number 4 in CBSI. 30-day sales, 54 copies. Because of the Thunderbolts movie, this is at a hype level, at a high. We talked about this book plenty of times being shamed during this list. It keeps coming back and forth. It'll be part of the monthly list. I know that much. But now that we talked a little bit about Thunderbolts, talk to me a little bit about your impressions of how they did the Century.
Um, First of all, I gotta say, Lewis Pullman looked exactly like his father.
He really
He's a dead
does.
ringer. Um, but I actually really liked. I think the suit that he was in was comic accurate. It was great. Um, I tell you, with this issue, I wasn't a big Marvel guy growing up. I didn't buy a lot of Marvel comics. This was one of the first Marvel comics that I can remember buying strictly off of the cover. I loved this cover.
It's
It
a
was
great
great.
Jay Lee cover. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
absolutely.
Um, Paul Jenkins and Jay Lee, it was, they just knocked it out of the park with this. And I get that he was supposed to kind of be the Marvel answer to Superman. Um, but yeah, I loved him in the movie. He's in kind of a weird place at the end of the movie, so we'll see where they go with that. But um,
Mhm.
yeah,
So I don't know how much you recall the whole marketing production when it came to the Century comic. I don't know if you remember, before the comic book debut, they did this whole marketing ploy that the Century is actually a Silver Age character that predates the Avengers.
right.
And Stan Lee was part of the hoax. It was all hoax, by the way.
Yep.
It was part of a hoax, saying that, I don't remember this character. And that was kind of the intrigue of the character himself, where he was a 50s superhero, but in reality, it was just a figment of his imagination, because we end up finding out that the Sentry has a multiple personality
Right.
disorder, and thus we have the Void. And I never looked at this cover the same way. Now that I'm thinking about it, it it's perfect now, because you have the image of the Sentry, who's supposed to be the power of a million suns there, but you also have the blackness
Mm-hmm.
of the Void, which is part of who he is as well. And I think what they did in the movie was really cool, how they did the Void in the movie. I
Hmm.
like the fact that he was just like a silhouette, and you could see his eyes
Right.
and maybe just a little bit of his body, like a light, like just a glimmer of
Hmm.
light. But they did a fantastic job with the Sentry, I think.
Yeah,
Costume
absolutely.
was on point too. Mhm. All right, let's take a look at number 3. And that is, speaking of the Thunderbolts, Incredible Hulk 449. This book came out in 1996 from Marvel Comics. $70 near mint was the last recorded sale. Fair market value of this book is $53 near mint, $290 and 9.8. And across all three, it came in 5th place, came in 3rd place in ours because of the 30-day sale and because of the hype level. Now that
Hmm.
we've talked a little bit more about the Thunderbolts, the only thing I have that I do have a problem with the movie, and this is how it doesn't get a perfect score for me, is that it was called the Thunderbolts only by name, and
Right.
it had nothing to do with this version of Thunderbolts, which is the original Thunderbolts.
Right, had to do with Thaddeus Thunderbolt, right, in the comic, right, in this comic.
Not
Um,
even it. So Thaddeus was part of it, but it wasn't. It was more about what their origins were and things like that.
okay.
So with the Thunderbolts, it's like their origins in the comic book completely different than what the movie is. And even with the
Mhm.
Guardians of the Galaxy, which they took liberties, they still had elements of the second version of the Guardians of the Galaxy, not the OG.
Right,
This Thunderbolts had nothing to do with the OG Thunderbolts.
right, okay.
Mhm. Yeah, which I would have, I would have liked to have seen Baron Zemo somewhere in this movie. Just
Yeah.
somewhere. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? because that's the Thunderbolts. He's
Right.
really the whole thing of the Thunderbolts. But yeah, that's how I feel about that. This is a great comic book. I love this cover by Mike Deodat, early Mike Deodat as well.
Mm.
So really good stuff. All right, that's number 3. Let's take a look at number 2. And that is Stillwater number 1. This book came out in 2020 for Image Comics. $96 was the last recorded sale at a 9.8. Fair market value of this book is $12 near mint, $90 and 9.8. It is number 1 in Key Collector, number 2 in CBSI, number 3 in cover price. The 30-day sales is 80 sales. The hype level is at a high. This book was option, and that is why this book is on this list. It's the
And
whole option buzz.
I was gonna say that's the only reason I can. As much as I love Chip Zdarsky, that's the only reason I can think why it would be so high on all these lists is somebody optioned it somewhere, which never
It
means
got optioned.
never means it's gonna go anywhere, but it got optioned.
So tell me a little bit about this story because you like Chip Zdarsky. Did you ever read
Yeah,
Stillwater?
yeah, but it was it was like 2020. Is that what you said?
Yeah,
2019.
2020. It was 5 years now.
Yeah, I'd have to. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't remember a lot of it. I'm really bad when it comes to once it goes like 4 or 5 years. I tend to have to go back and reread it.
Well, one thing I do know is that it is a story about it's about a city or a town, and no one in the town can die.
Hmm.
That's pretty much the premise. They live forever. That's the idea. I never read Stillwater. I'm thinking about reading it, reading it over at Global Comics. They have that comic there. So if you guys ever want to read it, you could go to Global Comics. There's a QR code that you could see. I'll put it up a little later. It's there. You could read it there. It's part of a series. So Stillwater is not just one series.
Hmm.
This is the main one. This is the first one that came out. There's some others that followed afterwards, but I don't know much about Stillwater other than what I've heard.
Hmm.
And it's been optioned. So take that with a grain of salt, like everything that's been optioned. If it's been optioned, it's going to go through immediate diet. It's going to go up, and then you're not going to hear anything. It's going to drop back down. For $12, this book, I'll wait, and I'll get it for even cheaper, I bet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. All right, let's take a look at our number 1 book of the week. You know what it's got to be. It's got to be Wolverine, the Daniel Warren Johnson variant. This book came out in 2025 from Marvel Comics. The last recorded sale now is $75 near mint. The fair market value of this book is $62 near mint and $125 for 9.8, even though they don't exist yet.
Right.
They don't exist. They're being pre-sold. It's number 1 on CBSI. It's number 4 on cover price. What really brought this to the number 1 spot is the 30-day sales. 284 copies sold in the 30-day period. Hype level of this book is at a high. People are eating this cover up.
Yeah, and it's I mean it is a legacy issue. It's 800 for the legacy.
400.
400. Sorry, 400.
It's 400.
In the legacy, there is I can't remember, but there is a character that's introduced in it. I haven't read it yet. I do have this. I bought this particular issue because I bought the Warren Johnson cover. So it would like you said before, it was open to order, so anyone could have gotten this. And they're using it on the second print. So Daryl Warren Johnson is one of these people right now that seems like he can do no wrong. Everything he touches turns to gold.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Mark Spears in a way, where in this one, you got a cover. People weren't specking on this cover. They didn't know it was Daniel Warren Johnson until it was out. So as far as the FOCs of this, I'm willing to bet the FOCs were relatively low for it, and therefore it didn't have a lot of orders. I think it's a cover C. It's not even a cover B. I think it's a cover C of an open order book.
Yep.
It's 400, so there's a little bit more than normal because it's still Legacy 400, but it's not as much more.
Right.
And there is a side story by Daniel Warren Johnson. As you said, they're doing the second printing. They're also doing the 1 in 25 version, which is just eliminates the little bit of lettering that you get there. But it is the number 1 book of the week for the second week in a row.
Wow.
So yeah, this book is hot. So you Guys, tell me your thoughts. What do you think about this ranking system? Which books do you have? Make sure you share in the comments which books you have, which ones you want to get, which ones you paid secondary market for. And stay tuned for next week's ranking. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more comic content. Check out these other videos for even more insight, and I'll see you at the next one. Excelsior.